Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book. Oh, yeah, another code book, no other than Mr. Steve Gamlin.
Hey there, Daniel.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Steve. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Steve Gamlin. I live here in a small town out in the woods in southern New Hampshire. And everything that I get to do in life happens, well, it started when I was 11 years old. I wanted to be a radio DJ, I wanted to be a stand up comedian, an author of my own books, and also a teacher of people. So over the past, well, let's see, 46 years since then, I was in the radio industry for 10 years, worked 15 years worth of hours, owned a DJ company for 28 years, was a stand up comedian for 7 years, have been a professional speaker, blending motivation, positivity, and humor, and also have published so far 4 books. So, especially the writing was something I really wanted to do when I was younger. And I thank my mom for instilling a love of reading and writing in my sister and I.
Awesome. So, Mr. Steve Gamlin, thank you so much for sharing your empowering book to the world. So, what makes motivational quotes such as powerful source of inspiration for people?
Well, one of the things that I see over the years, and I've been on a personal development journey since I was in my early 20s. So we're talking 35, 36 years. Something that's always frustrated me. I'm a take action guy. I don't like to read 200 to 400 page books just to get motivated. So for me, every time I'd see a speaker or read a book and it was very cumbersome, I would get bored and I would just tune out and put it down. So what I wanted to do when I was writing my books is give people something to think about and then invite them to take action right away and then create a way that they could write down maybe a couple of things that they had done if it was successful, if it was a struggle, if it was challenging, if they got a great result out of it. So, giving quick motivational messages, a quick quote in this particular book, oh, yay, it was the first time I'd used my original quotes. So, there are 55 total quotes. Every third or fourth one is one of my originals, and the others were ones that I was inspired by in my life. So it's the quote, it's a call to action, what I refer to as motivational firewood. That's a trademark that I own. And then the journal pages. So people could, within minutes, instead of having to read a long, cumbersome book, they could read something, whatever inspired them to do, they could take a quick action and then jot down how it made them feel or the result they got. And for me, again, this is just my style, that was a lot better at getting from point A to point B in a positive way than reading a really long book.
Certainly. So, Mr. Steve, which specific quote from Oh Yeah resonated mostly deeply with you and why?
The first quote in the book actually was the first one I even wrote that inspired
Yes.
me. And it's right on page 1. And it says, just when you think you have nothing to offer the world, smile.
Simone.
Because so many people, when I ask them, how did you impact the world today? Oh, I can't impact the world. Well, why not? Well, I'm not successful enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money. I don't, whatever, whatever, whatever. What I do for work isn't important enough. And I would just tell people, look, just when you think you have nothing to offer the world, why don't you smile at somebody today?
True.
Maybe while you're holding a door or paying somebody a compliment, or you just turn and you find yourself looking right at somebody in that moment. You both get a little startled. To me, the first person that smiles wins because it bridges the gap between people. You don't even have to speak the same language, but if you smile at each other, that's like a little plus sign floating between the two of you. So when I wrote that, I said, okay, I want to write another book. And that's going to be on page 1 because that is the simplest way to take action and create a positive outcome anytime you wish.
Certainly. Anytime. So, how can readers practically apply the wisdom found in motivational quotes to their daily lives?
What I encourage people to do, and of course, on social media, there are so many people that are throwing quotes out there and memes and all of these things. Find something that resonates for you. And it doesn't mean the quote actually tells you what to do. It just maybe bounces your heart and your mind off the wall a different way. There are certain quotes that hit me a certain way on a certain day. So I encourage people, if you want to create a positive day, dig deep and go out there and look for messages or people or videos or shows like yours that are dedicated to positivity, and then just take one that resonates with you, put it in your pocket, and take it with you for the day and see how many ways you can apply it in your thoughts, your words, and your actions. It doesn't always mean you just have to go out and do something. You can think more positive thoughts, which is going to benefit you in the long run. You could speak a kind word for somebody, to somebody that might be inspired by that message. And then you're sharing good energy with people. And of course, if you take a good action, that's going to set ripples into motion. And the beauty of ripples is you never know how far they could go. Somebody could be observing you taking action on whatever motivational quote inspired you that day. They won't even know what it was. All they know is you've just sent some good energy in the world. They observed it, and that may increase the odds that they would like to do it as well.
Yes, indeed. So why do you think people often turn to a motivational book like, oh yeah, during challenging times?
Sometimes we feel really alone and isolated, and it almost seems counterintuitive because people say, oh, I've got 100,000 followers on social media, or I've got all these friends, I have all these connections. A lot of us are really lonely. And just a few years ago in the pandemic, we saw just how isolated we felt because we had to be physically at the time where really nobody knew what was quite going on. There was a lot of cases of addiction, a lot of depression, a lot of really bad things happening, and people feeling isolated and lonely. For me, reading a quote and thinking of how I can apply it in my life would really help me out. It would get me through some days. And I'm a people person by nature. So being isolated when all my events went away for a while was a very tough thing for me. So I doubled down and I actually sought out and created more positive messages during that time than any other time before. So for me, it's all about finding that little tiny spark that's left in your heart and then finding something to add to it and fuel it up and just make it glow a little brighter, burn a little higher, or feel a little warmer. So that for me, and hopefully for a lot of other people, is a catalyst to find the sunshine, to be the sunshine, and to bring a little more positive energy into my life, which allows me to share it with other people as well. And when you are isolated, if you are isolated, use the quotes to speak, think, or act more kindly to that person in your mirror. That's a big one, especially with people's self talk these days. So many people talk badly about themselves and undercut themselves. And I think not just for the outside world, but I think we need to adopt some of these positive messages to talk to that person in our mirror and give them a break and be kind to them and help them grow a little bit.
Definitely. Very well said, Mr. Steve. Very well said. Thank you. So, can you share an experience where a code significantly impacted the decision or direction you took?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's actually one, and this is not in the book. This goes back to, and I'm a music guy at heart,
Yes.
and I recently rediscovered the quote that I used in my high school yearbook, and it's from the song "Stairway to Heaven," written by the band Led Zeppelin, and it says, "There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on." And if I had only had a clue how prophetic that quote was for my entire life. I mean, I chose it when I was 18 years old. And so many things in my life have changed. Now, some people, when they get out of high school or college, they pick a job somewhere and they stay with it their entire life. They may or may not be happy, but they stick with it their entire life and they're dedicated and they show up every day and they do the work, but they might not be happy or fulfilled. For me, it was all about making sure I was happy doing what I was doing. And it didn't mean I was 100% passionate. But again, the quote, There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. I was in radio for 10 years. Wasn't happy anymore. I was burning myself out. I worked 15 years worth of hours in 10 and burnt myself into the ground. So I made a change, which led to me becoming a speaker and a stand up comedian. And a few years after that, rediscovering the love of my life, a girl I had a crush on in high school. The same year that I picked that quote, and she reached out to me in June of 2007 by an email from, at that time, 1,350 miles away. And I changed the road I was on. I fell in love with her. And we got to be in love for 17 and a half years. Unfortunately, very sadly, she passed away at the end of 2024. And I'm on a different road now. I'm on a road of healing. I'm on a road of missing her every day, but there's still time to change the road you're on. Sometimes the road changes for us. So I find so much inspiration in quotes and lyrics and all of these places. And I included as many of them as I could in this book, including three that were written by a rescued little dog, a Yorkie Pomeranian named Super Teddy.
Yes.
He even got to make an appearance in the book. And of course, people started to read the book and say, "Oh, we love Teddy's quotes at the end. When is he going to write his own book?" I thought, you realize that I actually wrote them and I did all the work, right? Well, a year after that, Super Teddy got his own book of 20 more motivational quotes. And
Awesome.
people have found strength in those as well. So, whatever moves you, whatever messages out there, please understand that these are speaking truths and opening up doors and opportunities and just creating different roads you could be on to find that joy in your life.
Certainly. So, Mr. Steve, what are some practical ways readers can keep their favorite quotes visible and accessible?
Yeah. So many people are electronic these days, and I get it with our phones and laptops and tablets and iPads and all that stuff. For me, I love to print things out. And if there's a quote that resonates for you that kind of keeps you going every day, gives you a little bit of a spark, I encourage you. Maybe make it the wallpaper on your phone if you take a screenshot of the quote, or print out a copy of it and keep it in the visor of your car. If you're a person who drives around and travels a lot, keep it up in the visor of your car. If there's one that really resonates for you and it just hits you every single time, go to Staples or some office supply store, or you can go online and do this. Get a fridge magnet made out of it and put it on your fridge at your eye level so that you see it every day. And while you're making your meals or wrapping up after your workout or just spending time with your family in the kitchen, having a conversation with your partner, that you can keep this where you can see it. Now, I'm not super big about keeping stuff on my electronics because I do like to have times of the day where I'm not anywhere near my phone or my computers or my tablet. So that's why I love to have a printed out version of these things. So, really, whatever resonates for you. If it really works for you, put it on a t shirt. Make your own t shirt. You can go online. Gosh, I go to teespring.com, I believe is the website, and I make my own t shirts, including the one I'm wearing right now, because it's a message that means something for me and it pertains to the work that I do. So, think of as many ways as you can to make a quote that resonates for you part of your life, part of your environment. Keep it on your desk, put it in a frame on your desk or in your work area as well, or hang it on the wall in your office. Anything to keep it connected with you, with your heart and your brain and your eyes, and just let it empower you on the days when the world tries to knock you down, which sometimes happens a lot.
Yes, indeed. So, Mr. Steve, what would be your advice for those people out there losing hope? Would you like to
Yeah.
inspire them?
Understand where you are right now. And so many people look at their lives and they take a broad brush out and they go, "Oh, my life is terrible. My life is hard. My life is hopeless. My life is this." Get a sheet of paper and write on it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and put that sheet of paper and a pen in your bathroom And at the end of each day, when you're getting ready for bed, when you're brushing your teeth or washing your face, I want you to think of your favorite moment from that particular day. The one positive thing that may have happened. Maybe you received a phone call with some good news. Maybe somebody smiled at you today, or maybe you got to commit a very simple act of kindness today. What I encourage people to do is start to notice the tiniest moments that you're grateful for, not just these huge, big blockbuster things, but the little tiny moments. An act of kindness you got to commit, something you read that made you smile, a picture you saw on social media that made you grateful or made you think of a story, somebody you spoke with, or somebody who may have reached out to you that you haven't talked to in a long time and you really miss them and you value their friendship, or an effort that you made to help somebody out that day. When you're feeling really down, what I encourage you to do is start just finding these little tiny points of light in your day and just write down one of them each day, even. If you do that for a week and you still feel hopeless, reread your entire list and say, well, hey, these 7 really great things happened to me. I got to be a part of this conversation. This person reached out to me. Oh my gosh, I found $1 in the parking lot. Whatever it was, somebody gave me a really good parking space instead of making me park halfway across far from the store. Whatever it might be. Think of those little moments and let those be bricks in your foundation to build yourself up a little bit, to feel worthy of all the good things happening. Because sometimes when people feel hopeless, they're not looking around for opportunities. They're not looking for good stuff. They're staring at their shoes, wandering around, wondering, why doesn't anything good ever happen to me? Or they ask an even worse question: what else can possibly go wrong? Well, I'm a big person in the law of attraction in the universe. That's about the worst question you can ask the universe because it has a sense of humor. It'll
Yes.
giggle a little bit and it'll say, hey, Daniel keeps wondering what else can go wrong. So, you know what? Let's give Daniel what he wants. Some more
Yes.
things that go wrong. So, I encourage you to find even the little tiniest flakes of gold in each day and just write that down. It could be I honestly believe something you write down that you're grateful for today is the best gift you can give to your future self.
Certainly. So, what would be your short-term and long-term goals in writing, as well as speaker?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, one of my goals for this year as a speaker is to do my very first TEDx talk. And I've got 2 different ones I'm working on. But after the recent passing of my beloved wife, Tina, I am probably going to go this year, at least get it scheduled to do a talk that I've called Heartbreak, Healing, and Humor, which talks about my journey through grief over the past several months. That's a short-term goal. That's a one-year goal for me as a speaker. And Tina and I literally brought a fairy tale to life. And I've already had a number of people ask me, when is the book going to come out that talks about the relationship you had with your Tina? So that's my writing goal for the year is to, even if I don't get it published this year, to work with my team of people and put together the book that details what a great gift and amazing partner Tina was for 17 and a half years. So those are my 2 big ones this year. It's all about my journey through grief and how I can turn around and use my story to inspire some other people that might not have as many great people behind them. I'm very, very blessed with family and friends who are helping me to get through all of this. So for anybody who might not and might be struggling with grief and loss right now, I want to be that friend to help guide them through their process and hopefully give them some hope as well.
Certainly. So, thank you for your advice and good luck to your goals, Mr. Steve. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
for more empowering books like this and more empowering speech to come. So, how can motivational quotes help individuals overcome self-doubt or fears?
Self doubt and fear and bad self talk for me are the 3-headed monster that kept me down for a long time. And I just recently turned 57 years old, and I spent most of my life up until about close to age 40
Mm,
doubting myself, very low confidence. And as a matter of fact, a few months back now, I had a Zoom call scheduled with somebody that I knew was struggling a bit. So I offered to have a conversation with her, and she blew off our call. And the next day I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, we had a call yesterday. I hope everything is okay." And she said, "Well, I'm kind of embarrassed. I blew off the call because I'm intimidated by your confidence and I was doubting myself that I could bring value to our conversation, so I didn't show up." And I laughed and I sent her the link and I told her, I struggled with a lack of confidence for most of my life. I struggled with self doubt for most of my life. And I had very bad self talk for most of my life. And I told her, look, my confidence can barely drive a car and it can't even buy a beer yet. My confidence is about 18 years old. And what has helped to build it is to find these messages out there that resonated for me. And I would actually look up quotes. It's the great thing about the internet and Google and all these search engines. Motivational quotes about confidence, motivational quotes about self talk, motivational quotes about valuing myself. And it wasn't just the snap of a finger, I slowly found quotes that reminded me to look in the mirror and like the person I saw and pick out the good things and not just the bad things, and to build myself up and not tear myself down. So I found a lot of, as I dug deeper, so many people who created a lot of the quotes that have inspired me over the years, they struggled with exactly the same things in their own lives. And they created the quotes that inspired them. And then those quotes inspired me. So now I create quotes that inspire me and hopefully inspire other people. So if you're struggling with those things, go do some searches for some quotes to help you build yourself up, because you're worthy. You are
Sure.
worthy. You defied all the odds to be here. Seriously.
Yes.
The odds of any
Serious.
one of us being born are trillions to one. And we won that race. And I hope that
Yes.
people will dig for things that remind them, even if all the people around you don't believe in you or put you down or anything like that. The voice inside you, my opinion, is the one that matters the most. And when I finally got that person to start talking nicely about me, that's when my life got a lot better.
Certainly got vision, people.
Yep.
As Mr. Steve saying, got vision so that you have a
Yeah.
direction.
Yep.
So to wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Steve,
Mhm.
I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Book 101, Food 101 on its fifth season, people. Fifth season with Chef Alessandro Juan with specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So Food 101, wherever you listen your podcast. So why might motivational quotes resonate differently depending on a reader's current life situation?
If you remember a couple of years ago, there was that picture on the internet and it said, "What color is this dress?" And some people saw it as gray and some people saw it as blue. That's the beautiful thing about motivational quotes. You can see or hear or feel something totally different than everybody else does. And it's almost as though it was written especially for you, because it might fill a little hole that's in your heart or a little gap between the blocks in your foundation. Or if you're a boat person, well, there might be a leak in your boat, and this motivational quote might be the thing that you use to plug up that leak and feel a little better about yourself and stay afloat longer. So my suggestion is just keep looking and keep digging and keep searching for more of things that resonate for you, that mean something to you. And if you're not quite sure, here's what I encourage people to do with a lot of things. When you're reading and you're not quite sure which one is the right one, stand in front of a mirror and read some quotes. And as soon as you finish reading it, look in the mirror. The one that makes you smile the most, probably a good place to start. So just keep looking until you find the one that resonates for you. Don't try to wrap yourself around it and say, well, it's telling me to do this. Read it and see what it inspires you to do or say or think. And if you come up with something really good and you're smiling about it, grab that one and put it in your pocket for that day. And then the next day, find another one. But of course, in between, at the end of each day, write down that one good thing that happened to you that day, that good thought you had, that positive word you spoke, especially to yourself. and what action you might have taken that day because of that motivational quote that maybe you wouldn't have taken otherwise. And then the next day, go back to the well and get another one and just keep going and keep growing and keep showing up. That's the key right there. Build momentum, build your confidence, keep on chugging. I talk about it a lot of times, life being like an old wooden roller coaster. You start at the bottom, wherever you are right now at the parking lot level. Any one of your goals, even if it's to feel better or be happier, is at the top of that first hill, and you have to go click, 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 click. Every day you got to do something. So find something that inspires you, put it in the seat next to you, and get to the next level with that one, and then repeat.
Consistency, people. So, Mr. Steve Gamlin, thank you so much for empowering the world. And we are looking for more and more and more empowering books as well as speaking. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books as well as your speaking engagement?
You sure can. If you go to stevegamlin.com, Gamlin, the books and other things are on the products page. And you can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook at Steve Gamlin, Gamlin.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Steve Gamlin because if you support him, as I said, more and more empowering books in speaking engagement to come. So, Mr. Steve, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.